All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. We've had some people reach out in the past wanting us to do kind of like a baseball update kind of show with how the guys are doing in the summer and stuff like that. And so that's what we decided to do for this week's show. We're going to touch on the Colin Reuter commitment, Ole Miss getting the BYU catcher out of the transfer portal, and then look at how the Rebel players are doing in their respective summer leagues. But before we dive into all that, Hitch, how you doing? Look like you've got a little bit of sun on your face, looking a little red there.
Yeah, man. Just getting out in the yard, doing some work,
Yeah.
mowing the yard. I got Blake and Sawyer. They're down at the beach, getting some sun. So I thought I would, do my part here while I'm at home, try to get some sun myself so we can match when they get back. But no, just no real color for me right now. It's probably just because I'm hot because we're mowing the yard.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
was mowing the yard.
Yeah, just you. Yeah, this is a tough time for yard work with temperatures we're dealing with here in North Mississippi. I got up Sunday morning to do mine, and I got up at like 5 o'clock that morning, went to make me a cup of coffee, and walked by my thermostat and saw where it said it was 70 degrees outside, and I thought I need to get out there right now before this thing hits 96, 97. Ended up being pretty efficient with it. Had the yard mowed, weed eated, everything done by like 8:30, and then I was inside before the heat came, so ended up working out.
Yeah. Well, it's good because my yard, it takes like, I don't know, 25 minutes to mow, so it's not bad at all.
Yeah, me and you are not the same when it comes to that. It takes me a little longer than 25 minutes. Usually it takes 25 minutes for me to get up to the shop, get the lawnmower filled up with gas, and by the time I'm making my first pass, 25 minutes is already gone past that.
Jackbone left it on empty. Jackbone didn't fill it up when he used it last.
Man, he always leaves it on empty. If not now, I mean that's just what he does. So he'll fill his lawnmower up, but I can't say too much. He's paying.
That is his bag.
Well, he's paying for both lawnmowers, so I can't complain too much. I just go hop on one. Yeah, he can absolutely do whatever the hell he wants to, and he does without regret or remorse.
I get it. I think probably once you remember that this is available now on Apple Podcasts, I think you probably just started back. You realized, I saw in your eyes, you just started backpedaling right there. Yeah. So I like it. I got it. I get what you're saying.
That's right. Look, I got to deal with him 365, man. Okay, like this isn't an every once in a while thing. Yeah.
Good point.
But we'll go ahead and dive in here. Just right off the top, we want to talk about Colin Reuter. Ole Miss finally gets its first portal commit. Kind of been a slow go for the Rebels in the portal so far this year. Catcher is obviously a big need. We're going to get into Campbell Smithwick here in just a little bit when we start talking about the guys playing summer ball. Reports are that he's playing catcher in the summer. He's looked a lot better, but you had to go get you a reliable catcher that you can put behind the plate that you know is going to catch the ball, keep it in front of them, be a good receiver, and anything you get with the bat after that's just going to be a bonus. And that kind of seems to be what we have here in Colin Reuter. He's a Mississippi kid from Olive Branch, honorable mention, all Big 12. Got to look at the stats throughout the year. He hit 265 with 10 home runs and 860 OPS. Not too bad. I think it was Chase Parham. I saw point this out. His conference only stats were much better. 311 average, a 1054 OPS. 8 of his 10 home runs came in Big 12 play. Big 12 is a pretty good baseball conference, so that's encouraging to see that once he got into conference against better competition, he also raised his performance as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because I guess probably on the surface, you look at those numbers and go, I mean, we'll play in the SEC, at catcher, right? Yeah. As long as he's a good defensive guy. But, will those Big 12 numbers translate to SEC pitching? Yeah, who knows? I don't believe that you can imagine they would get a lot better against SEC pitching, but you hope that they can stay the same. Now, the hitting is great and everything, but I'm going directly to his fielding stats when I looked at him. He had a rough freshman year, I'm guessing 21, 22, because he had 12 pass balls, right, in that year, and he played 46 games, right? So he was back there a lot.
Mhm.
That's a little concerning, right? Because of what we
Mhm.
saw on the field this year with our catchers. But when you look at last year, really cleaned it up. There's only 3 pass balls, so hoping something clicked there, and it's he's got those jitters out of him, right? Like it's not the
Mhm.
yips, or it was the yips, but he's gotten rid of them. And then when you look at throwing guys out, it's a huge difference from that first year to the second year. The first year there were 30 attempts, he only threw 8 guys out, and then this past year, 27 attempts, he threw 12 guys out. So it's a jump from like
Oh,
it was like I wrote it down somewhere. It's a difference of the first year 26% throwing guys out, the second year 44%. So I mean that definitely plays, and so yeah, I was excited about the first commit. Really, like you said, I agree. It's been a really slow year. I looked at the transfer portal the other day, and we have so many guys going out and only one coming in. But I'm glad that we did make it an emphasis to go look at a quality catcher. What seems to be.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, and the catcher position seems to be a little bit thin, but it is somewhat top heavy though. You look at what was that guy's name? Daniel Jackson that ended up going to
Mm-hmm.
Georgia before he ever stepped foot on campus and visited Ole Miss. You've got the kid out of LSU that's in the portal, and then Colin Reuter. I think that was you know 3 of the top guys in the portal this year from a catcher standpoint. So it's good to go out and get one of those guys. Uh, didn't know about him throwing out 44% of runners this past year. That is a big jump. I mean, if you can throw out anywhere close to 40% of runners, you are a stud back there from an arm standpoint. So that tells you he's got
Yeah.
plenty in the tank and in his arm to get it down there to second base throwing runners out. So that's nice to see. And
Well, and I guess
when you talk
too.
about the pass balls and stuff, the jump from year 1 to year 2, I always go back to a Butch Thompson quote when it was like 2 years ago. They reporters were asking about a couple of his freshmen that didn't perform particularly well, and what he expected out of them the next year. And his response was, "Well, players are allowed to get better. They're allowed to work, and they're allowed to get better
Yeah.
as time goes on." Sounds like he did a good job of getting in the lab, so to speak, working and cleaning some of that stuff up.
Yeah, well, and also like you mentioned, he's I want to call him a local kid, right, from Olive Branch, local
Hmm.
enough. So you got
Yeah,
to think that this coaching staff was aware of him in high school,
yeah,
and I mean, he signed with a a major Division 1 uh,
hmm,
program, and so you had to think they're aware of him, and I would bet that our coaching staff probably keeps track of where Mississippi guys are and things
yeah.
probably now with this transfer portal, and they probably saw him jump in and said, "Hey, we remember this kid." And if he had a rough season that first year, like they had the track record of probably knowing his high school and knowing what he did
Hmm.
there, and then also seeing that second year him really clean it up. I think that I trust the coaching staff here.
Yeah, yeah, and you got to think one reason he probably went out to BYU when he was coming out of high school. Of course, he was #1 catcher in the state of Mississippi in high school his senior year. And but you look at Ole Miss's roster back then, you got Hayden Dunhurst behind the plate, and he's going to play the 21 and the 22 season. And then behind him, you still had Calvin Harris, who was going to follow up Hayden Dunhurst. There was no clear path to playing time right out of high school for him. So that probably contributed to him going out of state and not coming to Ole Miss to begin with. But coming full circle now, there's an opening there at catcher here in Oxford, Mississippi. He was one of the better catchers in the transfer portal. So kudos to Mike and the guys for going out there and getting him. Still have plenty of holes to fill, kind of like you said. We've had, I think right now it's 9 people in the transfer portal. This is the only one we've gotten back so far. Um, that number is not going to stay at 9. We will have more getting into the portal. But so don't freak out when that starts happening. But just know that there will be others that get in. Uh, I would like to think that Mike and the guys though have a plan in place to replace all of these guys that are leaving, and hopefully they will execute it to perfection, and we will start filling some of these holes here pretty soon. They just got to be efficient. I think that's the biggest word in the transfer portal for us this year. They've got to be efficient with what they do. They have to evaluate correctly, and they have to fill these roles with players that are going to come in, play immediately, and play well because we need to get this thing turned around starting next year. So, good start.
Well, I mean,
Won't be the
two
end of it.
guys, right? Well, when we're talking about the transfer portal, I mean, two guys have hopped in there since we last talked, and they're, you know, both pitchers.
Yeah.
You got Kyler Carmack, which, you know, I think both you and I were disappointed or curious maybe that we didn't see a little bit more of him. But, you know, he when he was in the games, you know, he really wasn't great outside of just a couple of outings.
Yeah.
You know, but I think the big one is
was good. Results weren't.
Right. Yeah. And I think the big one is probably the biggest one that's hit the portal, Saunier. I was a bit surprised by that.
I was too.
Not totally shocked, right? Like, I mean, I could see where I'll say this. I'm more surprised that he entered the transfer portal after we named a pitching coach, right? Like, I would have been less surprised that he left before Mangrum was hired. Like, if a couple of weeks ago, if it had been Saunier that hit the portal, I'd have been like, yeah, I can see it. I kind of saw that coming. But now that they hired Mangrum, it kind of, I don't know, it's weird to me that he hit the portal after that.
Yeah. I would assume, I don't know anything, obviously. I would assume there's some sort of differences between. I'm sure Joel Mangrum has an idea of what he wants in a pitcher and what he wants pitchers to do, and either Saunier didn't match what he wanted, or Saunier didn't like whatever Mangrum was bringing to the table. One of the two. That's just my guess, putting puzzle pieces together here. You know, it could just be as simple as Saunier wanting a fresh start after a couple of years. You know, that's certainly within his right to do that. And if that's the case, either way, wish all of them the best that are leaving the program. Just need Mike and the guys to get this thing figured out. That way we can right the ship starting next year. So we'll hop off of Colin Reuter right now. Start looking at some of the results in the summer league right now. We've got some guys performing awfully well. The number one name I wanted to bring up first, Hitch, Hudson Calhoun is having a monster summer out in the Northwoods leagues for Kenosha. 22 innings pitched. He's got 4 wins already. But in those 22 innings, 24 strikeouts to only 8 walks, only giving up 9 hits, no earned runs allowed in any of his starts so far out there in the Northwoods League. A 0.77 whip and only a 125 batting average against.
This is a guy strikeouts.
24.
Yeah. That's a big number. That's a bunch.
Yeah. He's this is a guy that we talked a good bit about last year as an arm we wanted to see more of, either coming out of the pen or something like that. Saw him a little bit early, but after that, you basically didn't see him the rest of the season. That's a really good sign, though, seeing this freshman go to the summer league and perform this way, because there's plenty of opportunity on the pitching staff next year for arms to step in and play a role.
Oh, for sure. I was going to look something up. When I was looking at his numbers earlier to talk about this, I think that I saw his BABIP against him is 1,000. All right, so. Does that mean that he has struck out every batter he's gotten out? He hasn't. That's because the look you're giving me right now is making me go, no, that's a crazy thing to say. Why would you even think that?
Yeah, no, that.
And I'm thinking that maybe I was just looking at a single game. Is what I'm probably.
Surely, there's no way his BABIP's 1,000 with those numbers.
No, it can't be. But here, just keep talking, and I'll talk about somebody else. I'll find it.
Yeah. You find that. Just kind of going down through there are 2 more pitchers that we'd like to point out. Patrick Galley, another guy that has really good stuff. The big fastball and slider, the freshman last year, came in and really, really wowed people whenever they saw the stuff for the first time. A high 90s fastball. High 80s, low 90s slider with a real sharp break to it coming from the right-hand side. He's pitching in the Cape for Warren right now. He's only pitched 3 2/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. Only allowed 1 hit and 1 run, though. 0.03 batting average against. Galley's another guy that can step in and fill one of those roles, probably out of the bullpen for us, whether it be at the back end. I think his stuff really plays well in the back end as long as he gets the walks and the control under control. He's got 3 walks and those 3 2/3 plus hit a batter. So that's 4 free passes in just under 4 innings
Mhm.
of work. If he gets that under control, you're looking at a really, really big arm with the potential to slide to the back end of the bullpen and sure up the end of games for you.
Yeah, and that's one other thing about Hudson County too. It actually does say 1,000 BABIP. I don't, but a lot of the pitchers on this roster has have 1,000 BABIP. So either I'm thinking about it
Glitch.
incorrectly, or their thing is messed up. So whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up though. He has hit 5 guys, right? And you know me and,
Yeah.
and hitting guys,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, come on, stop giving free bases. I get
Yeah.
it, right? Guys stand on top of the plate. You have to pitch inside. So you're gonna hit them, but that may be the only concerning thing about Hudson Calhoun's line this season. He's hit 5 guys. Yeah, Galley. I love Galley's stuff there towards the end of the year. I wish we would have seen him more. I hope that he's a guy that can be at the back end, even close some games. But you nailed it with the he's giving away 4 free passes in 3 2/3, and only 2 strikeouts. You look at that WHIP and that average against, and you think, man, those are good numbers. But with those numbers, you probably wouldn't have a plus, right 2.5 ERA unless you've given away some free passes, and so that kind of leads you to the next guy you're probably going to bring up is Toucan Sam, right? I mean, his numbers are crazy when you look at him, because you look at it and you go 6.35 ERA. Oh wow, he's having a tough summer, and then you go,
it's really not.
His WHIP is 106 and his average against is 211, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown 5 2/3 innings, so that pretty much tells me he's got 6 strikeouts. I mean, that tells me that he probably had 1 bad outing, right? He probably gave up all 4 of those runs in 1 outing. It's probably what happened.
Probably so. Yeah. Yeah. And in those 5 2/3, you got 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hit batters. Again, that's 4 free passes and 5 2/3. Kind of seems to be the bugaboo of our pitchers over this last couple years, really kind of bleeding into the summer here. That's what they got to get better at. They got to keep it in the zone. They got to quit giving away outs, because the stuff that these guys have absolutely plays if they would just trust it. It's almost like they're trying to be too fine with it, trying to make too good of a pitch. You start overthrowing, losing a grip, something like that, instead of just getting it over the plate or just where you want it.
Well, and two, it's where you walk these guys, where you put guys on, because in today's game, you're rare unless a guy is just has a ridiculous, pitch or a ridiculous outing. You're probably not going to see a lot of guys who don't walk people. That's become part of the game plan, right? Like we're every time this guy comes up, we're going to walk him, and so it's something that I saw, Tennessee won the College World Series, I saw, but when AJ Causey was pitching the other night, they were talking about how it clicked with him when he started thinking about the mental side of pitching, right? He stopped trying to beat guys solely by using his arm. And I think that, if you see a few walks or you probably won't see hit by pitch, but if you see a few walks, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But it's where those walks come, right? Did you mean to do that? Did you or did you just get lost and lose a guy? The next guy comes up, hits a bomb, right? So it all depends on where those walks are or those free passes.
Yeah. Are you walking the guy ahead of Charlie Condon and Jack Caglione or Tommy White? You don't want to walk those guys. That's not where the walks need. Now, when those guys come to the plate, you can just throw up the 4 fingers. You ain't even got to throw a pitch. Send them down to first base and start messing with somebody else. But that was, I know, something that drove me and you crazy. You talk about it all the time, how many times we walked the guy ahead of that team's best player all throughout the year, which tells you that was not planned. It was not planned. That those aren't the kind of walks you want to see. So need to get those under control. But overall, kind of like what we're seeing from those 3 guys in the summer league so far. Go over to the hitting side. Andrew Fisher's playing in the Cape for Brewster, kind of scuffling a little bit at the plate to begin with. He has gone on a bit of a hot streak here this last week or so, though. Only hitting 172, 5 for 29 right now, 1 home run, 2 doubles, 7 RBIs. One thing I'm really encouraged with, 6 strikeouts to 9 walks. Kind of saw that throughout the year. Last year, he got progressively better at pitch selection and going after the right pitch and not chasing anything. Seems to be carrying over here so far in the Cape for him. I know he had 2 of those doubles in the same game that happened a week ago, I think, something like that. No, it was last week sometime. So be nice to see him start coming around with the bat. Interesting thing with Andrew Fisher, he's playing second base up there in the Cape right now. Apparently, Reed wants to work on his infield defense, and that's one area that you can do it in, playing second base. So if he comes back a better defender and just takes any kind of step forward as a hitter, he was already an all SEC caliber hitter, hit 20 bombs last year, could be the cornerstone and one of the leaders and captains of this team coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, quite frankly, is going to have to be. And so, like you said, we know what we're going to get out of his bat. He's done it in 2 top conferences for 2 years in a row, right? He's put up good numbers. And yeah, that was the one thing that I was going to bring up about him is that he's playing second base. That was interesting. If he's there, working on his fielding, that could only make him a better player, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So one guy we brought up earlier, Campbell Smithwick, we always knew the Duke could hit. He's playing catcher in the Cape right now for Chatham. Can really swing it though, and he's doing that right now. 6 for 13. That's good for a 462 average and a 1038 OPS. Yeah. 1 double, 2 strikeouts to a walk. Sounds like he's playing a lot better behind the plate, though, defensively, which is really what we're interested in. I'm sure it's what the Ole Miss coaches are interested in as well, because he's absolutely an SEC bat. You just got to find out is he going to be your catcher or is he going to end up taking over one of those corner outfield spots for you?
Yeah, and I got to looking, and I don't know that I ever found any defensive stats for Chatham. To see how he's doing. But yeah, I mean, he's tearing the cover off the ball, right? He's cooled off a little bit since I looked last week. He's now down to, he was at 500, 5 for 10. Now he's, 462. Also with Andrew Fisher, something that I forgot to mention, he's also swiped 2 bags. So, keep eye on the speed. He has surprised you a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah, but I mean, not much you can say, about, Campbell Smithwick. Other than the kid can hit and he's showing it there in Chatham.
Yeah. Next one I'm gonna go to our man Judd Utermark's really scuffling in the Northwoods League up there with St. Cloud. He has had 6 at bats so far this year. He's 0 for 6, 6 strikeouts. So there's really no other stats to read besides that.
No. No, the good news is that it's only 6 at bats, 2 games, 6 at bats. It probably would be encouraging if one of those 6 at bats were the strikeout. But we're kind of joking about it, but like he really does need to have a good summer to make me think he's going to have that Kemp Alderman leap to his junior year that everybody kind of expects him to have, because it wasn't the sophomore year, right? Like I thought it was going to happen this past year and it wasn't. So, but he's up there in the Northwoods League, maybe facing Hudson Calhoun every week. And so may not be able to get a hit. Who knows?
Yeah. And last year he went through stretches where it looks like he had figured it out, right? He had those 5 doubles over a 3-game stretch. Like it's all about contact with him. That's all it's about, because every time he makes contact, it's going to be 100-something miles an hour off the bat. And that's why you can't give up on a guy like Judd Utermark. You keep working with him, keep tweaking, you just got to find one thing to flip for him. You got to find one switch to flip. And if it ever does and he comes on, then you have a first-team All-SEC caliber bat with how hard he hits the ball. Nobody on our entire
Sure.
roster is ever going to hit the ball as hard as Judd Udemark does. That's why you keep working with him. You keep running him out there and try to find something that works for him. And once you do, it will pay off. So hopefully he finds that either this summer or when he gets back to Oxford into fall ball, and he can turn things around here and if he can cut down on strikeouts, start making contact, he's going to be an incredible player. He's an incredible, freaky athlete for as big and fast as he is. So keep working with him. Hopefully it turns around for him. So next one we'll go to the MLB Draft League. Our main man, Trayson Hughes, he's been playing first base out there, played some right field, kind of showcase him for the MLB scouts out there. He's having a really good summer out there. 17 for 56. That's a 298 average, an 833 OPS, 1 home run, 3 doubles, 1 triple, 12 RBIs, 9 stolen bases. Doing a little bit of everything in front of the pro scouts. Maybe this will help get him to the into the minor leagues, to the pro level, or maybe he comes back to college, whatever it looks like from there. But looks like he's doing his part though, and he's performing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. Looks like he's playing, pretty much every day. He's played 18 games,
Uh-huh.
right? He's got 17 hits in 18 games. I mean, those numbers
Yeah.
will get you looks. And then also, right? I don't know that he this past summer, or not past summer, this past season. I don't know that he was on the base paths enough to really showcase the speed that he's showing here in the league,
Mhm.
right? With 9 stolen bases, but. Yeah, good luck. I hope that he gets drafted high, as high as he wants to, and is tearing the cover off the ball. On the other hand, I'd love to see him back in Oxford, right? Especially putting numbers like this up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sticking back out
whatever
there.
he decides, it'd be
Stick him
great.
back out there in right field. But yeah, if Fitz ends up getting him drafted, obviously that's the main goal for every single baseball player that ever puts on uniform. So hoping the best for Trayson. Hopefully this will catapult him up into getting drafted and starting his professional career. And if not, obviously interested to see what happens with him next year. Maybe he can use this as a springboard to have a good senior year and really put his name in the hat for a higher draft there in next year's MLB draft. One guy that's really performing well, Hitch, and I'm obviously going to need to dig into him a little bit more. I don't know a lot about Connor Chisholm playing in the Valley League for Strasburg, but he's really hitting the ball well. 17 for 52 with 327 average, couple doubles, 11 RBIs, scored 15 runs, 13 to 8 K to walk ratio. He's an outfielder, and obviously we have some holes in the outfield. This would be a nice surprise to have a guy on your current roster that you don't have to supplement with the transfer portal. If he can continue these kind of at bats, having these kind of games, putting up these numbers, bring it back to Oxford and just plug him in. That's going to be a name to watch as fall ball rolls around, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of singles, right? But at the same time, I mean, a lot of RBIs. 11 RBIs in 52 at bats. So
15 runs scored.
It's weird to not see any home runs and only 2 doubles and kind of see those other counting numbers and no stolen bases, right? And 13 strikeouts. It feels like this would be a guy that's got some pop. And maybe he does, right? It's only been 13 games, whatever. But I'm with you, right? Like, I was surprised when I saw this name. I think I probably look at the roster a lot and I recognized his name once I saw it, but I didn't know that, he was hitting 327 somewhere.
Yes, that's nice to see. Another outfielder for Ole Miss, Drew Markle. Saw him a little bit last year, played a little bit in the outfield. He's in the California League. Only 6 for 35, 171 average. 3 stolen bases. You saw him a lot as a pinch runner more than anything.
Yeah.
Ended up drawing a couple starts there towards the end of the year. But Markle's scuffling out there a little bit. But again, it's a guy that you have on your roster, plays outfield, got good speed, a good defender out there. Be nice for him to get going a little bit in the summer, carry it over into fall ball. And maybe that's another spot you don't have to use the transfer portal for if you feel confident enough in these guys. But they're going to have to show you something. Again, not only summer ball, but when fall ball gets here, think you're going to see a lot of competition by the time fall ball rolls around. There's a lot of openings out there, and going to be a lot of position battles that's going to be interesting to watch.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're 100% right.
So, but that's what we got for summer ball. That's our update there.
Well, the other one,
now we will-
that anybody would recognize is Luke Hill. Neither one of us could find anything on him to where he's supposed to be playing for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, in the Cape Cod League, but I don't guess he's played yet, so we don't have any numbers on him.
Yeah, there's no stats extra. He hasn't played a game for him yet, and it really sucks because that's the number one offense in the Cape Cod League. When I saw that, I thought, Luke Hill's probably tearing the cover off the ball, but you go look at the stats, and he's not listed on there anywhere. Hasn't played a game. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury or something like that. Haven't seen anything, but I would imagine if he was healthy and good to go that he would be playing. But if we hear anything on that, we will definitely pass that along to y'all when we find out. So, but I think that in totality is the update on summer ball. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Now on to the off the rail segment here, Hitch. Me and you, we've known each other a long time now. 15 plus years, I would say at least. Maybe
more than that. More than that.
Yeah, probably.
I'm 40 years old, right? Graduated high school at 18. We've known each other since high school, so 25 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how I've never brought this up to you, and maybe I have, and I just don't remember it. How big of an Office fan are you?
I like The Office. My kids love it. Like that was the show that we sat down and ate supper to for a long time, and it cycles in. It's like that, King of the Hill, New Girl, all of these like 30-minute sitcoms. And for a long time, I felt like it was The Office for like 2 years. They loved it, but I think it's a very funny show.
I'm sitting down and I'm rewatching it again. Kind of ran out of things to watch, so I put that back on. I've seen it all the way through like 7 or 8 times. I mean, I've seen it over and over and over again, and it still brings me to tears laughing every single time. Like it's one of those that when an episode comes on and I start seeing stuff happening, I remember what's going to happen in like 2 or 3 minutes, and I already start pre-laughing. And then when it hits, it just busts me plumb up, man. And I mean, there ain't no telling what Jack Bone thinks of me here because I'm on the back porch watching it, and I just bust out laughing. I know he hears me up there.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah, and for me, it's Michael is, and every time we watch it here, he's, gosh, I hope I don't say this wrong, but he's so kind and so nice, but he just says the worst things. I mean, the absolute worst things, but in the nicest, kindest, most loving way.
So one of the things I found out rewatching it at now age 37, 37. It's even worse now than when I was younger watching it. I guess because maybe I've experienced some stuff, either in the workplace or through family, stuff like that. But it's unbelievable how uncomfortable he can make you in a TV show, right? And
oh my God.
I mean,
look, I bet I have seen
the dinner party. My God, the dinner party. It is a struggle to get through.
I bet I have seen the racial diversity episode where they bring in the guy I bet I've seen that episode 40 times. And when he tries to take over the meeting, and then he does the meeting after the guy, and he won't sign that piece of paper because he didn't learn anything. Man, it's so funny.
And then he comes
and
in.
It's so uncomfortable.
The guy leading the meeting, when he comes in, he's like, "All right, everybody, my name is Mr. Brown." And Michael Scott goes, "I will not tell you. I will not call you that. That's a test." Like, no, that's really my name.
Right.
And then when he finally goes to sign it, and he begrudgingly signs it or whatever, and kind of tosses it to him, lets him walk out. and then it cuts to me sitting there reading the paper. I will not, da 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 da, all that. Signed, Daffy Duck. He's going to be so pissed.
But it does what all good TV shows will do without you even realizing it. Even It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia does this. They take these real world issues that are very like serious issues that have people on both sides of it, right? And somehow they talk about it, they make you laugh about it, and it makes you go, oh, maybe I could think about that from a different way or something. It's almost like the way that the comedy of it brings in these two sides, and it's almost like a meeting ground. But I love it.
It's the most well-written show there's ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, for those reasons, they do such a good job of being able to entangle real-world problems, in everybody's life. Like, they're not just targeting one specific group of people with it, right? I mean, almost everybody can identify with the stuff that they go through, the problems that Michael causes or brings up and tries to resolve in the most awkward ways imaginable. But it's just so fun. But my question was going to be: is Michael Scott the best character in television history?
He's not. And I'm surprised that I have the only reason that I have such a quick answer back to you for that is because I'm currently watching.
I knew this is where you were going.
Over the past 2 days, I have watched 3 seasons of Eastbound and Down. I told you Sawyer and Blake were out of the house. They were gone, right?
Yeah.
I watched 3 seasons of Eastbound and Down. And let me tell you, Kenny Powers is an incredible television character.
Yeah.
Like, the things that come out, the way that Danny McBride is able to play selfish, sympathetic, like all of these range of emotions, is crazy through Kenny Powers. I can't. I've laughed for 2 days straight. Michael Scott, though, is a very good character. I love The Office just as much. Well, I'm not gonna say just as much as anybody else, because I know in our group chat there's a very big Office fans, and they make jokes that I don't understand. But I'm the same way, right? Like, New Girl is one of my favorite shows ever. Letterkenny, all of these like 30-minute shows, kind of like The Office, but not quite as big. I'm more down here on the fringe of those shows that I like. And I've seen The Office through one time. I've never watched it again. Maybe I should, but
You should.
I do really like it. And to answer your question, Michael Scott's a very good character, but I'll take Kenny Powers every day. What do you think about Kenny Powers? Give me what you think about KP. I went to see him as Halloween one time.
Love Kenny Powers.
I had to find a picture.
Yeah,
I won the Halloween. I won the Halloween contest at work one year as Kenny Powers. I didn't break character all day long. I'm so shocked I didn't get fired.
Look at you. Vault actually won his very first Halloween contest when he was 1 year old. His first Halloween that come around. He went as Georgie from It. Had him in a yellow slicker with a red balloon. Really nailed that one. I was proud of that one. He had no clue what he was going as, but I knew, and that's all I needed to know.
I thought you were going to say you went as Kenny Powers, and I was just like, oh, well, okay, I got you.
No. If anything, I would have seen him as Creed.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm at the part now where Jason, and also the fact that Jason Sudeikis can play Shane in Eastbound and Down, and then turn around and play Ted Lasso, like 2 completely opposite ends of the spectrum. But I'm at the part now where he's in Myrtle Beach, and Shane has died, and his family is throwing a funeral, and he's hiding behind a tree, and he's got a boombox, and he comes walking out behind that boombox with Silverchair playing, and he just waits to the end of the song, and then he sets it down, and then he starts talking. You want to talk about uncomfortable, like the way Michael Scott makes you uncomfortable. Kenny Powers makes you uncomfortable, but in a different way. Just as uncomfortable, but in a totally different way.
Totally different.
It's great. Yeah.
That's
Don Johnson is in that show.
Very good.
Don Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So, all right, y'all. Well, that's our comedy show talk there. I had to get Hitch's take on The Office because I just don't ever remember sitting down and actually having a conversation with you about it. And since I was rewatching it and how much I love and how much I've been laughing at it, I had to get your takes on that. But we'll
Here
go
you
ahead
go.
and wrap that up there.
Here's a take on The Office. As somebody who doesn't love The Office and who's only seen it once and just watched episodes here and there in between, my favorite part about The Office is Daryl being a smartass. Like I don't know if that's a thing or if people talk about it like they like Daryl or whatever. But like if Daryl is on, I'm watching it because Craig Robinson being a smartass to people is the funniest thing to me outside of Michael on that show.
Yeah, he's really good. And like I said, Creed is the most underrated character on that entire show. Everything he does is an absolute home run. Now you only get one about every 2 or 3 episodes out of him, but every time he takes a swing, he knocks it out of the park. It's so good. So good. Yeah. So we'll go and wrap it up there. Again, hope y'all enjoyed this summer in review so far, or summer update with the Ole Miss baseball players. Me and Hitch were kind of talking a little bit, and one of the other things we've had people reach out wanting us to do a show on is Rebs in the minors. We decided we would do a separate show with that, just because me and Hitch get so long-winded when we start talking about players and what they're doing. Look up, this one's already gone over 40 minutes. So we're going to make that a completely different show. So we're going to have that coming y'all as well. I don't know if we'll do that next week, the week after, whatever that looks like. But things are going to start getting going a little bit. Got SEC Media Days coming up here soon. So we will talk about those when those happen. So appreciate y'all tuning in. We are now on Apple Podcasts. If y'all would rather listen there, so you can find us on the SEC After Dark YouTube channel on YouTube, or Apple Podcast or Spotify. Just search Ole Miss After Dark, and y'all can listen to us that
TikTok.
way. And TikTok, Ole Miss After Dark on TikTok as well. Hitch does a really good job cutting up different parts of the show and putting on there. So if y'all don't mind, go follow us there. Follow us on all platforms. That would really help us. Like it, hit the little heart, whatever it is. And if there's anything y'all want us to talk about, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I've got my Twitter handle there at Little Fat Dids. Hitch is at AO Hitch at Twitter. We also have the Ole Miss After Dark Twitter account. So several ways to reach out to us. Let us know what you think.
Write us a letter. I'll give you my address.
Dude,
like, if you want to sit down and write like a long form letter, like, I don't know. I'll give you my address. I'll give you my neighbor's address, then I'll go get it from them. But like.
There you go. And really all you're going to do is just give everybody my address and not tell me about it. More than likely. Or no, Jackbone's address. That's even better. Because I would love to see them open up those letters. That's what we're going to do. So I'm not going to tell him about Apple Podcast yet. I'm going to wait until we record another show. Then I'll tell him about Apple Podcast. And then he can start listening then. So that's what
you don't think he can figure out how to go back and listen to the previous ones?
Well, I'm just going to tell him it's not an option.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah, so. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will holler at y'all next week. Hitch, appreciate it again. Hi, Toddy.